Coming up, we take to the streets across the country all summer to get your views on all things Canadian. From Yukon Territory and British Columbia, this is Outburst. Hello and welcome to Outburst. I'm Glenn McGuinness. Well, with a brand new government elected last October, Canadians have had time to examine the issues and how the new government is moving forward with them. So we sent our cameras out to Yukon Territory and British Columbia with this question: what is your view of the federal government?
I think we're disconnected. I think we're disconnected from the federal government because in distance, we're far away from them. So there could be more done to connect with the West Coast, I think, from a federal level.
Yeah, the perception is good, but I don't know if it's actually turning into actual things on the ground. I don't know if it's actually changing. I mean, yeah, they say good things, but I don't know how much of. But they are taking more refugees, so that's good.
At least BC, I think, is hopeful that the federal government respects our values. I think so. I don't know about Alberta. I think BC is hopeful. So, yeah.
I can only say that I really like the current government. I mean, I just think it's wonderful. There are 2 people with disabilities in the cabinet. There are people who are Sikhs in the cabinet. There's equality of women and men in the cabinet, and all of the positions that they have taken, I have been proud to see. And so, yeah, it seems like a great government. Much better than I anticipated. Really good.
Well, the Liberals get their shot at it now, and if they fall down, well, then we'll go back. That's why we vote. Yeah. Yeah. If you don't vote, you can't complain. So at least we voted.
I think that the new government needs to be given a chance to see what they can do, and I'm optimistic.
We appreciate the government a lot because a lot of our jobs are government, so it's really nice to have that and all the services they provide. I think they do a really good job of that.
I think a lot of people might feel that we are forgotten due to our population being kind of small, where our votes aren't as important because it only represents a very small number in terms of the larger populated areas in major cities.
Most Yukoners would view the federal government with glee because out of their total GDP, $1.2 billion comes from Ottawa. So I would be very happy too if I was any type of provincial or territorial government, if I was given that kind of money.
I think sometimes the Yukon is one of those forgotten places in terms of the federal government's eyes. There's not a lot of economy here outside the government, and it just seems like Yukon is always really dependent on the federal government. So outside of funding announcements, we really don't see much federal government of anything. So there's really no relationship to build on.
I'm not sure, really. I think that a lot of times maybe we feel like we're a bit left out because we don't have a huge voice. I mean, we're very well supported. Obviously, our economy is pretty much supported by transfer payments. So, but I think the new government, probably Yukoners in general, support better than the previous. There's a lot more people that are liberal than very conservative here. That's my view anyway.
How many U.S. states border British Columbia? 2, 3, or 4?
3? I think 1, 2. I think 3.
I'm going to go with 3 because my grandmother's normally right.
I'll say 3.
2.
4.
3.
The answer, 4.
I got it.
Very good. British Columbia is bordered by 4 U.S. states: Alaska, Washington, Idaho, and Montana. In what year did British Columbia join Canada? 1871, 1881, or 1891?
Oh, let's go 71.
going to go with 81 now. Change my mind. 1881.
1881. 81.
91.
I'm going to go with 81.
I'm going to go with 71. I don't know.
This is so hard. 1871.
It is 1871.
You got it.
British Columbia entered Confederation on July 20th, 1871. Some colonists viewed it with a sense of reluctance and loss, while others viewed Confederation as a new beginning and a way out of their economic depression. One of the goals of Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government has been to re-establish relations with Canada's Indigenous peoples while respecting their cultural traditions. It was one of the promises made during last year's federal election campaign, along with launching an inquiry into missing and murdered Indigenous women. So we took to the streets to get your point of view on this topic. Our question: how would you rate the federal government with Indigenous issues?
With the present government, young Justin Trudeau with Jody Wilson and other First Nation ministers, it gives us, I would say, a good start in regards to dealing with outstanding Aboriginal issues such as what really happened in the residential school, secondly, and secondly is the missing women. And not only missing women, but a lot of missing First Nation men in this country. So that's two issues. And the one about the missing First Nation people is not only a First Nation issue, it's everyone's issue, because all women in Canada are also in that predicament in regards to how they're treated in this country. So yes, I would say that with this newly elected government, I see a want that they want to deal with long outstanding Indigenous issues.
We've taken and spent billions and billions of dollars to help other countries, and there's nothing wrong with that. And there's times that, we need to extend a hand. But a lot of that money that's gone elsewhere could have stayed at home and helped our First Nations. And not just First Nations, but Canadians first.
There's a lot of work to be done. We all know there's a long history, but I'm optimistic with this new change of government that they're more than just talk. They're certainly dedicating a lot of resources towards it. Time will tell, but I think they've only been in power for, 8 months? So I think they're definitely headed in the right direction, and I'm optimistic.
I think they're trying, and I think it's taken a while for them to really kind of put in 100% effort, but I think we're making progress slowly but surely. It can always go faster. But there's always corrections to be made, but I think we're going in the right direction.
It seems to be improving from what you hear from the Liberals, but from the Conservatives to the Liberals, I don't think much has changed at this point. The Liberals say they're going to do a lot of things, but that's yet to be seen. I mean, it's just words. I think First Nations people are looking for more action. And on Bill S6 and the repeal that's going through right now in the House of Commons, there's a willingness from at least Indigenous Affairs to kind of right the wrong of what S6 was to First Nations people. So that's a positive development, but money and hearing is what's needed for First Nations.
Well, I think right now Justin is putting at least a good face forward about trying to mend that relationship, but I think it's something that will take a lot more time before we can really assess how they're doing in terms of actually meeting the needs of First Nations.
I would certainly say they're getting better. It's more noticeable in the media and social media that, the issues are being addressed more and more, increasingly. But in terms of, the past 50 years, it's obviously pretty bad rating from me. But then again, I'm not subject to any of it or have any first-hand knowledge, so.
We've been the Indigenous people need help a lot. There was a nation down Saskatchewan or something like that. People were dying. Oh man, they don't even have a place to go to the bathroom. Seriously, no water. Come on, we need to get more support for them, right?
I think they're making some progress. I don't know if they're They seem to be allocating money for causes that have been issues for a while. I don't know where it's going to go exactly, but there's been talks, which is great. I think there's still some policy out there that definitely could be changed to help the Indigenous people protect their land, respect their lands, that sort of thing.
I think we do abysmal on Indigenous issues, and that Aboriginal people are really treated badly in Canada, and something should be done about that. It's really important. And I was just talking to someone earlier this morning who works with the city's Aboriginal Advisory Committee, and she was saying the status of women, Aboriginal women, is just horrifying. They're subject to violence all of their lives. Their voices aren't heard, and those are important issues that aren't dealt with enough in our country, for sure.
From what I've seen, I don't follow them as closely. It seems like Justin Trudeau and his party are they're really making an effort to, I guess, kind of rebuild those bridges that might have been burnt in the previous reign.
I don't know. Sometimes I feel they get the short end of the stick. They could do better. I think they could do better. It's hard to take away all the land and not give them back, right? But it's I think they could do a little more for them.
I think we should do everything we can to make the Indigenous people feel they haven't had their homes stolen from them because they are the First Nations.
We are now more aware of what happened in the past, and we're trying to rectify it. And it takes education, but we are doing better.
I think it's a good start. Yeah, with the commission and Trudeau's basic feeling of addressing those issues properly. Long overdue.
There's been some movement, there's been some change, but I think that there's a long way to go.
What do you think that long way to go is?
Well, there was a huge harm that was done to the Indigenous people. You can't undo a cultural genocide in a few years, so I'd really like to see some big changes happen and some treaty rights happening, and I'd like to see some basics, like maybe some clean water for people living in Indigenous communities. We send money overseas to people who need clean water, and we aren't doing it for our own citizens. So I would love to see that happen.
It's Canada's third largest and westernmost province, and its motto is splendor without diminishment. I'm referring to the province of British Columbia. Did you know British Columbia has over 27,000 kilometers of coastline? After Toronto and Montreal, Vancouver is Canada's third largest city. The province is home to more than 4 million people. British Columbia has Canada's largest Chinese population. The first and oldest Chinatown in Canada is located in Victoria, and the only one in North America that is older is in San Francisco. British Columbia became a province in 1871 after Canada promised to build a railway that would connect it to the rest of the country. British Columbia's longest river is the Fraser River, which is 1,399 kilometers long. And those are just a few facts about British Columbia.
During the recent North American Leaders Summit held here in Ottawa, Canada, the U.S., and Mexico all agreed to generate 50% of their power using solar, wind, hydro, and nuclear power plants by the year 2025. Canada has come under fire in the past for its stance on the environment, especially since backing out of the Kyoto Accord. So we set out to get your opinion on this file. Our question: is Canada doing enough to be environmentally responsible?
There are laws in place, and hopefully everyone abides by those laws, and we expect the government to be knowledgeable in that aspect. Whether or not it's enough, that's everyone's debate, and everyone has their own opinion. However, personally, I think that if we follow the laws and follow the regulations, I think we're doing what we need to do.
No. But and I think there's a real opportunity there. I think we still have this dichotomy that's economy or environment. It doesn't have to be that way. You know, I mean, we consume energy, we will continue to consume energy, but there's ways to do that make more sense. I don't know why we're waiting for California to figure out sort of how to do renewable energy. The Bay of Fundy, biggest tides in the world, New Brunswick and Nova Scotia, why don't we have world-class tidal energy research going on there? Why are we waiting for someone else to do it? So I think it just takes a bit of vision to sort of say, the environment, we can do a lot of good stuff there in terms of more marine protected areas, etc., but let's make it work for us so that we can continue to consume energy, but in a more renewable way. So in sum, I think, yes, we're doing okay, but there's a lot of potential.
I think we can always do more. I think we've started, but I think we can always do a lot more in emissions and stuff like that, yeah.
There's always room for improvement. I believe that we're on the right path and we're going hopefully in a good direction, but in terms of the environment, it can always be better.
No, I think we can always do more, and of course there's a great transition happening now from one government to the next, so we're on an upswing, an uptick so far as environmentally conscious policy goes, but of course there's always more we can do because we're trapped in the old world of being reliant on fossil fuels, and we have to get away from it. So the question is, how much can we do safely and quickly?
No. I don't think so. Well, we're getting there. I can be as impatient as the next person saying, come on, we do it now. We know what we've got to do. Let's just do it, And I'm going, okay, it takes some process. It takes some people changing their minds, slowly getting people to sort of take some ownership of environmental responsibility from at home and then spreading it out. But I like what we're doing here in the Yukon. I think people up here are setting a standard for people to look up to. We don't do this. But yeah.
I was very happy to hear Prime Minister Justin Trudeau saying that we have to deal with decarbonizing the environment. What that tells me is that it's a very major step in regards to doing something about climate change. It also has a big step in regards to telling Canadians that we have to look at another way in regards to in dealing with energy. We have to get away from hydrocarbons. We have to now look at other sources such as solar or wind and begin to look at a renewable or sustainable renewable approach rather than the constant exploitation of hydrocarbons, which is coming to be a very limited resource.
I think they're saying they're going to do a lot of stuff, which is nice because it's a lot of promises, but I haven't actually seen many long-term things, long-term plans. Seems to be a lot more investment in science and stuff like that, which is pretty nice. But yeah, a lot of it just kind of seems hopefully going to happen.
And I guess maybe because I'm not necessarily that well educated about everything that we could be doing, but I think at some point we have to say that economy can't take over everything, that maybe sometimes we have to think environment first and make the economy work around the environment instead of vice versa. I think that's huge.
The government that we have just elected is way more environmentally friendly, and that's something that they're looking towards and trying to balance our economy through the oil industry as well as other areas.
I think that they're trying. I think they put in a good effort. Enough, and probably not. Probably nobody's doing enough.
No, of course not. We absolutely are not, although I'm hopeful that the current government will take more action. But yeah, we're destroying the planet and we're not doing enough to make sure that doesn't happen.
I think we're on the right track. I think there's always work to be done, but when you look at just how things were even like 10 years ago, I think we're doing all right. There's always room for improvement.
I think we could do more.
Yeah?
I think we could do more. Yeah. I like the bicycle routes and stuff. I think that's a good move forward. More rapid transit. But we need We got a lot to go. We got a lot more people coming into Canada and into BC, so.
I definitely think they could do better. It's kind of tough to see people not embracing the idea of car sharing and public transit, and it would be really nice to get people out of their cars and into public transit and into car sharing, and maybe walking and biking and all that kind of stuff.
I think they're doing quite well, keeping it a green country. I think we all have to learn to do our little bit. And but I think we do try very hard, and that's wonderful.
No.
In what way?
It's a hard call.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's a lot to be done, and it's expensive, and people have a hard time prioritizing. But we do the best that we can.
Hell no, you can never do enough. It's just the way it goes. We can't have this and that, right?
It's the smallest of the 3 territories and was once home to the Klondike Gold Rush. If you guessed Yukon Territory, you are correct. Whitehorse became the capital of Yukon Territory on April 1st, 1953. It is the largest city in northern Canada. The previous capital was Dawson City. Yukon Territory is large enough to fit California, Delaware, Arizona, and West Virginia within its borders. The word Yukon originated from the indigenous word Yakuna, meaning Great River, referring to the Yukon River that flows across the territory into Alaska. And those were just a few fun facts about Yukon Territory.
Canada has some of the most stunning scenery on Earth, and for such a large country, our variety of nature is incredible. So we took to the streets to ask Canadians this question: what makes your part of the country so unique?
That I am one of the very few Vancouverites who've been living here for longer than 35 years. Born and raised.
It's unique. The weather's great. The housing prices are insane, which isn't good, but yeah.
It's diverse, it's beautiful, it's friendly, it's green, and I guess most of the country's like that, but that's fine, that's fine. It's warmer here, exactly.
Just look around. We got ocean, we got mountains, we got clean air. Everything's just beautiful.
The diversity, I would say, within the people, and just the beauty of the nature that the province holds. Yeah.
My part of the country, BC, I think multiculturalism, the diversity we have here, the mountains, but really it's about the people, so proud to be Canadian.
They welcome people coming in, they are thankful, they are friendly, and it's just nice. You get everything in here. The people help each other.
Well, very friendly, and the place is so nice. There's so few people, and the facilities. You go to the swimming pool, there's only like 20, 30 guys, and it's good. It's a good place to stay and raise a family. Yeah, everybody should come here.
Well, for me, being from Halifax, it's that the river, I guess, because I'm used to being by the ocean, the mountains, the daylight, or lack thereof, I guess, but I'm here at the right times of the daylight. A really obvious presence of the Aboriginal people here, which we don't have in Halifax, which is awesome.
The Yukon is unique just by its location, first off. We're separated from the rest of Canada realistically, and the environment does enough here to make us unique, whether you're from from southern Canada or whatever. But I think the Yukon in itself is fantastic. The environment, the pristine nature of it is just fantastic here.
I think because it's so isolated and it's so different. It has a lot of history, and I think that's pretty much mostly. That's why we're here.
Well, I think, again, I've got to go back to the people, because in the Yukon, the people are just so friendly. They're really helpful. They're friendly. They're tough. You know, they will just do anything for you. If you need help, they'll just be right there to help. They're well informed. A lot of them so creative. Like, we have such a creative culture here. We have a really strong French culture. Yeah, it's a great place to live. Less traffic. A lot of, it's not the big city atmosphere where you have to rush. It's a much slower pace. So yeah, the Yukon is just a beautiful place to live. Wouldn't live anywhere else. Just look at the sky and the mountains and it's beautiful.
What is Yukon's territorial bird? Snowy owl, magpie, or raven? Snowy owl, magpie, or raven?
Magpie.
Snowy owl.
I'd say the snowy owl.
Is it a magpie? Raven.
Snowy owl, magpie, raven.
I'm going to go with raven as well. I don't know.
It was a raven.
There you go.
Very good. The raven was named the official bird of Yukon in October of 1985. Yukon Territory is home to Canada's highest mountain. What is its name? Mount Steele, Mount Logan, Mount Baker.
Logan.
Steele. Baker.
Mount Logan.
Steele.
Logan.
Mount Logan.
It's Mount Logan.
Yes! Yay!
Mount Logan is the highest mountain in Canada and the second highest in North America. That's all for this episode of Outburst. Just a reminder, don't forget to check out our new CPAC TV To Go app and our CPAC Quiz Canada Trivia app. For more information, check our website, www.cpac.ca. I'm Glenn McGuinness, and on behalf of all my colleagues at the Cable Public Affairs Channel, thanks for watching. We'll see you next time.